Hey, Janelle, I am so excited to have you on the show for our second episode. The last time you were here, we talked a lot about your TikTok account and how you've been able to really leverage your gift in comedy to grow your following to over 14,000 people. And I wanted to have you back today because I want to really talk to you about how you have done something really similar in our orthodontic industry, and just, what you've been able to do personally on TikTok, but then taking that and really being able to mesh that within your orthodontic office and then your orthodontic following. So if you don't mind, would you just kind of give me some background first off on how you got into orthodontics? Because I'm pretty sure that I do know a little bit of the story that you didn't necessarily start off saying, "Ooh, I can't wait to be a treatment coordinator and I'm going to go look for a treatment coordinator job." So would you kind of just give me that background so that our audience can hear how you got into this? And then we'll talk a little bit more about what you've been able to do within our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me come back. I've been waiting very patiently for the second episode. But yeah, I did not start off as a treatment coordinator. I went to Buff State College. I was first going for graphic design. And then halfway through college, I changed my degree to theater. And let me tell you, that was a tough conversation to have with my parents. They're like, "What? You're changing to theater? What are you going for, acting?" I was like, "No, prop making," which sounded bizarre. And I had a concentration in set design. So fast forward, after college, it was great. I had to put a ton of paid internships and great jobs working in theaters. But then I realized quickly it's more of a supplemental career. I wasn't making as much money as I would have hoped to. It was working off of grants and things like that. And then I started a family. I got married and had kids and wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And then I learned quickly, like, no, I need to be surrounded by people. So I got a part-time job working as a receptionist, where I worked for 5 years in a general dentist office. And then my friend Christy, who was the treatment coordinator before me at Askler Ortho, had begged me to come and work for them. She's like, "You would love it here." I stalked Askler Ortho's Facebook page, and right away I was like, "No, looks like a small office. I need the large office, the big hustle and bustle." She's like, "Please, Janelle, you would be great with the adults and the kids. It's the perfect mix for you." Well, the third time she asked, she's like, "Can you please come in? The girl that's on maternity leave is working part-time. You could seriously just work part-time. Nothing will change." So I did. I literally worked, I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to noon. While my kids were off at preschool, I came and worked as a receptionist at Ask Ortho. Well, then the girl never came back from maternity leave. So I then created a bunch of relationships with the patients, with the amazing Dr. Rob and the team, and I couldn't leave. So I turned full-time there, which was great. And then Christy left to become a real estate agent, and she put me in charge of being a treatment coordinator. And let me tell you, I was intimidated because all I knew about that job, she was always in the back, always talking money, things like that. I didn't know how to present financial fees to someone who had to pay now, say, $6,000 and explain that treatment. I was used to, "Hi, your copay's $20. Have a good day." Like, it was intimidating.
Right. Low pressure right there.
Yeah, right. And I right away was up for the challenge, but I needed to make it my own in order for me to feel comfortable in that position. So I literally practiced the role of presenting fees to my friends and families on evenings and weekends. I was a nerd, but I had to be good at it. I'm just like the overachiever. I say I went to YouTube University. I seriously remember going online and being like, "What are separators? What do they do? What's a Herbst appliance? What is big deal appliances to have to tell someone your son needs this robotic arm in their mouth and it's $6,000. Can you sign today?" Yes. So Dr. Rob was awesome. He trained me and I had to make it my own. Even taking like photos or records and x-rays, I'm like, no, this is not me just to do this stuff and take it and go. I made it fun and I made it a circus and I got paid for being me. And that's what I appreciate about the job.
What a great story. And I think what's really good to hear about this is, and I want my doctors to hear this especially, and what I've seen as a consultant too, is a lot of times some of our most successful treatment coordinators don't come from within our industry, right? And don't come from they don't need to have all this knowledge. Now you have to have a willingness to learn, right? And you have to not be afraid of money. But I love it that on top of it all, you said, I'm going to make this my own. I'm going to make this arena that I'm living in for 8 hours a day mine. And I've got a similar story, just in the sense that when I used to work in offices. And when I was a treatment coordinator, it was the same thing. I'd say, to the patients, like I'd make going and taking x-rays fun. Okay, we're going to step into my robot and he's going to talk to you and he's going to spin around your head like a video game. And, like it was about not just stand here, do this, do that, but it was about making it my own, just like you. But then what you're ultimately doing is also building an experience and building a relationship with that patient. And I love that you were able to do that. And it has really served you well as you have moved on, really come in to, to what you do as a treatment coordinator. So one of the things I want to ask you is, as you have gone along, and you've been in this industry long enough now, we see the changes that are coming along. And, I don't know when you first started. I mean, I know when I first started, it was, when patients would come in and they would leave, it looked like they were leaving a used car salesman's office. They had scribbles and, and maybe they would leave with a piece of paper that was like slid across the desk to them, and it was, kind of crazy and cagey. But as you have been going along, and I know that you're in a cutting edge office, tell me some of the changes that you're seeing in our industry. And as a treatment coordinator that gets, you're a seasoned treatment coordinator now. What are some of the things? Yeah, I know exactly. Yes, of course I am.
Thanks for having me.
So what are some of the things that you're seeing? You're in the trenches, you're in the office, as a consultant, I know the things that I see, but I'm a lot of times looking at it at a different level. So I want you to tell people out there that are listening, maybe our newer treatment coordinators out there, give us some insight on that. But also, if you have any little tips for some of the things that are changing out there, maybe some tools that you like, some things that have really helped you a little bit.
Well, that actually could be a whole nother webinar if I sat here and gave tips and tricks. So we'll remember that thought. No, I'll definitely give some pearls. So I would say what I'm noticing is people are being more casual as far as doctors and treatment coordinators and things like that when presenting fees. That's how it should be. I was always trained, make friends, make money, and then that makes money small, right? So at first, when I was a TC, I used to have carbon copy piece of paper, guess what the down payment would be for them. And we would have to leave the TC room and go into Dr. Rob's office, which was stuffy and corporate like, and I would have to like sit like this and present it. No, now I don't know what changed, how we changed it. I think it was just like, why do we pick up all these family members and shove them in another room? I mean, there's times now, like if this is the patient, I know on the podcast, if you're listening, you can't see this, but now I'm standing with my legs crossed, showing them the slider and explaining them fees and walking away and going to play with their, youngest sibling and things like that. And I think when Dr. Rob comes in and he's casual and the whole office is casual and friendly, that's what makes people feel like, okay, I can trust you. We're going to trust the process. Yeah. So that's my advice to docs and TCs is just trust the process. Even for docs, you hear a lot. This is a latest trend of doctorless exams. That doesn't mean no doctor. It's in some offices, it might mean no doctor at all for those consults, and that's fine. But in our office, in order for us to see growth in the new year, something had to change. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. We all know that. So we realized we had to take our 1 hour exam and shorten it to 45 minutes. And we were like, well, what's taking the longest? Yes, Dr. Rob loves to talk about treatment, and I respect that. But there was the actual exam part that he was taking us both a little bit longer. Now that's out of the way, and I've learned how to do all that part and stuff like that. And it's just trusting the process of, okay, these people trust us. They see a little bit of the doctor and the rest of the TC, but if you educate them and inform and influence your patients on what to expect at that consult, they're not going to think any different. Like, why is the doctor here for only 3 minutes? I expected him for 10. So if you educate and, influence your patients before they come in on what to expect, it's golden. It's going to work for you.
And I think that is such a pearl. And really, as we are moving forward in our industry with all of the different changes, I do believe as a consultant and what you're saying too, that patients don't need that. what I almost, refer to as that old song and dance that, they don't need that anymore.
Right.
We can educate them with all of these different tools, and our doctors don't need to spend 20 minutes, going into all the depths of the depths of the depths of treatment.
Yeah. Right.
And if you've got a great treatment coordinator, lean on your asset. Right. And your asset is that treatment coordinator to really.
And if you have a great TikTok and social media account, all of those postings that you're sharing to the world are educational and exciting. And they're learning about and knowing and are aware about these appliances before they're placed in the mouth.
Yes. And I think that's that social proofing. Gone are the days, by the time somebody makes it into your practice, they have already checked you out and probably been following you at, depending upon how good you are with your social media. So it's really just a matter of meeting their needs so that they can say yes to treatment. So I think that's great. Now, we all know you have a hidden talent. We talked about this on our last podcast, but tell the audience a little bit about how you've been able to bring this into the TC room for you. And I know that there's a phrase that you use a lot, and I had never heard this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this edutainment.
Yeah.
I love that. So talk to me a little bit about this talent of yours and how it's been able to help you.
Well, we all know I'm always down to clown. So I feel most comfortable when there's humor involved. Humor is what creates memories. So whether it's an adult and a child, I've got the talent of being witty and sarcastic for the adult to understand that, where kids don't really understand sarcasm. Mm-hmm. But then I can, talk to kids because I'm a mom. Not all treatment coordinators and doctors have to be parents and reach this level, but I do a bunch of research in what do kids do in the office? They're intimidated. They're uncomfortable. They're looking at their cell phone. So I got to speak their language and break that barrier so that they get to know me and they get to know Dr. Rob. And then I'm trying to influence the clinic to do, the same thing, same with the admin team. So I would say just my personality is my talent. And I can confidently say that I have the superpower of creating relationships and making them last and just getting people comfortable with being in an intimidated situation. I mean, we have adults come in who literally say on the phone or when they're walking through that reception room, oh my God, am I the only adult here? Never do I want someone to feel uncomfortable walking into my TC room. So it's just turning that experience around and that feeling around. People won't know or remember what you say, but they do remember how you make them feel. And that's what I want people to walk away. They have no idea what life with Invisalign will be like because they're not listening to my words in there, but they're remembering how I made them feel. So that's the target I go into. And it's a high emotion to do that every 45 minutes. And I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I always say when we're in there, having been a former treatment coordinator, we're on, right? Yeah. We're on for that 45. We're on, we're the Disney princess. We're on for that 45 minutes and we're building experiences.
Absolutely.
Now on our last podcast, we talked a little bit about, on TikTok, how you find your channel or you find your lane. What about if you're a treatment coordinator that wittiness doesn't come to you so easy, or just being clowning around isn't necessarily your forte. What would you say to a treatment coordinator that I do believe as treatment coordinators, usually all of us have that outgoing personality and there's something there, but what would you tell them and I'm going to bet it's probably really similar to what you said about finding your lane in TikTok, but how do they find their inner TC that they're going to, really, really go with? What would be some advice you would give maybe a newer TC that's kind of trying to figure out, well, I don't know if I can be Janelle, but
we don't want anyone to feel like they have to be anyone else. And this is a great question. And I think it goes off my experience to answer this. It goes off my experience of watching Christy, who was the TC before me. Anytime patients left after she was done with her consult, they would always be like, she's so sweet. She's so sweet. She was so nice. That's a hard act to follow. Of course, I'm sweet and nice, but I tried to be that TC at first and tried to be nice, and I still am, but I didn't feel like myself. And so my advice is just be yourself. Think about the most compliments you get from either strangers or people, working in customer service at the coffee shop and things like that. Think about what people say about you, or your family says about you, or your kids say about you, things like that. Or you can idolize other people and try to be like them, slowly take those qualities and make it your own. But no, not everyone is known, and not every orthodontic office is known for being the funny doc and things like that. I know my Dr. Rob, he's not the big funny one, but we're idolized, or we look at these other doctors and idolize them for their funniness and humor, and just are motivated by that. So just be you and be nice, and it will work. I promise.
And I think that's such sage advice, because that is it. You gotta find your lane. You gotta find what works for you. We all know, as treatment coordinators, there are core things that we have to do to get our patients to yes, but how we do that and how it works for me versus how it may work for you, Janelle, or somebody else out there may be different, but our good TCs out there, we all get to the same thing. We just have our different ways. And I love that. I love that. Find your way, find your path, and you're gonna have success in it.
Yeah. And you got to be a chameleon. I mean, my funniness is not every day, all day. There's patients who are very red and they don't want all this, or they're too intimidated. And that's where I'm like, okay, this is the challenge. Every job has a challenge. And now I got to be calm.
Yep.
So,
know how to read your audience. Know how to read your audience.
Yep.
That's great. So I think in our industry, we have all of us, every office. I work with doctors across the United States. Every office has dealt with team turnover. And change in offices. And I want to talk to you just a little bit about, you came into this job, I'm going to bet, not expecting it to be a career. And I would say it's a career now for you. Yeah. What was it, or what has helped you? Because I'm this is something I'm trying to talk to my docs a lot about, is we need to make our workplaces somewhere that our teams see this as not just a job for stepping to the next thing, but as a career for them. And I'm curious to know, from where you started to eight plus years in now, where do you know, or can you articulate at what point it went from being a job to, okay, this is a career. This will be a career for me?
I would say with Dr. Rob investing in me, that's what started this, and me being hungry to learn and want to grow professionally. There are employees that I work with that are like, nope, this is a job. I'm clocking in, I'm clocking out. And that's okay. They're veterans to this position, and I respect that. But for the team as a whole, definitely docs need to invest in their team. Send them to these conferences, sign them up for webinars.
Yes.
Dr. Rob and I used to be in a book club. It wasn't like an official book club. I would just be like, do you have any books on sales? Because I guess this job is sales, Dr. Rob. And I don't know anything about it. I might be good at it. I might be bad at it. I don't know if I'm doing it right or doing it wrong. So I started off by reading books. And then I got so excited about them, I would share them with the team. And some team members were like, sure, give me a copy. Then you would buy the whole office a copy of the books and things like that. And then we all go to conferences. And I'm hungry for conferences. I think that's what drives me to keep learning. And I'm obsessed with watching webinars and listening to podcasts. And it could even be from vendors or companies that we don't even sell their product or braces, but I'm still going to log into their webinar to see what it is that they're doing and what the trends are and what I can apple pick from certain things that they're doing. And just speaking to your employees, asking them what motivates them. Not all employees are motivated by book clubs and going to conferences or having team retreats. Some are motivated by a Post-it being, slid over to them saying you're doing a good job. And others are motivated by money in their paycheck or extra PTO time. So just like us, we have to know our audience. When you do these podcasts, you got to know your audience, and same with webinars. The docs should know their team members as well.
Yep. And I think the takeaway I take from that is, I love that book, the love language book, for that speaks specifically to team members. And, for docs that haven't read that, they definitely should.
Yeah.
But I just want to point out one more thing that you said, because I have a real passion for this as a consultant, is I do not think there is a better way to pour into your team than to enlighten them with continuing education.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like if you aren't taking the time, and doctors, please hear me on this, if you are not taking the time to at least educate your team members once a month on something new, you guys get so much education out there. You have so much opportunities. Your teams don't get that. And, and they may not have ever even been exposed to that before. So I wouldn't even do it as contests. If we do this, you get to go to a continuing ed. I think it should be, because I care about you so much, you get to go to continuing ed, because I want to pour into you. I want you to have your mind blown like mine get blown when I go, and I want you to come back and be excited. And I can't help but believe that is what lets our team members see that there's more to what we do than this just being a job, that this can be a career. And I just think nothing is better than knowledge. The enlightenment of knowledge is just...
And it could help someone who's feeling burnt out or stale in the position, and just reminding those team members, like, hey, you're going to be meeting other team members at the happy hour, or, sitting next to them in the conference. And what's so awesome, I mean, for me as myself as TCs, I have so many random TCs numbers in my cell phone, and I've become friends with them on social media. It's so nice to collaborate with them. And that's what these even assistants can do. And clinic staff, admin staff, they can meet people with the same position of them and be like, oh, how do you handle that compliance issue? And you learn from these people, not just from the people on stage. So it's for networking.
I love that. And what just, makes me so happy to hear is you are somebody who is living and breathing that. You've got a doctor who recognizes that and is pouring into you, and you're not just taking, you're taking it, implementing, and really using it with the world. Yeah. That's great. That's great. So as we've kind of, come to the end here, this has been just wonderful hearing, all of these little pearls. I'm going to ask for just a few more, but I've got two questions, and then we're going to head into the speed round. Okay. But my first question is, are there any tools that are really helping you right now really help you with your role? Is there anything where you're like, gosh, I think I'm just a better treatment coordinator because of this or because of that? Is there? And you may, I'm curious to know what that may be, if there is anything.
I've got a lot of tools in my toolbox, and I think it's just constantly educating myself and keeping up with the trends. I mean, if I didn't go to these conferences and watch these webinars and listen to podcasts, I wouldn't be learning and applying, and we wouldn't be as successful as we are at Ask for Orthodontics if it wasn't for that. And I encourage TCs to follow those Facebook pages that are made just for TCs or marketing coordinators, financial coordinators. It's a great area to ask questions and learn. Follow these vendors. And I'm telling all you TCs that any appliance you get, see if they've got an Instagram page, a Facebook page, a TikTok page, because you're going to learn through that and then see what other offices are doing. Like I said earlier, I follow different products and companies on social media that we don't even use, but I learn from them. But my biggest advice too is help them get out their word. I mean, you guys are doing an amazing job as consultants and doctors at these conferences, educating us and giving us the tools we need. We need to give back that thing. So that's why I'm always constantly tagging all of these companies while I'm watching their webinars and things like that. Yes. So for those listening to this, make sure you tag Jill and I. Also take a picture right now. Say cheese. So when they're watching this on YouTube, they're tagging us and posting. Yeah. But that's huge. It goes full circle, and it's just respectful. I mean, social media is free advertisement. So yes. I think, not just sharing it is what makes me successful, but just being so, involved in everything ortho related is what keeps me alive and not stale and things like that.
Yep. That's great. And then my last question as we wrap up is, we've got a treatment coordinator that's like, Janelle, you've inspired me. I want to maybe start something socially in my practice. And I think I might be able to be the face of that, in my practice. How would you advise they get started? And I know this could be like a whole nother, we'll probably have to do a whole nother podcast on this, but if you were to tell them, and I would say, number one, you should listen to our previous podcast because you really give some good tips on just in general, TikToking and all of that. But if they were to say, I don't know if I'm quite ready for TikTok yet, but maybe it's just Instagram. I'm going to really just help my office be recognized socially. Can you just talk to that just a little bit? How often should they maybe start posting, or what should they do to kind of just help get that going?
Absolutely. So we're even still learning at Ask Ortho. We are on everything from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. Maybe I didn't say that. We're on Snapchat. Now I can tell you, I don't use Snapchat in my personal life, but my kids do. And I see what they're doing and I see what the patients are doing. So let's work off of that and capitalize off of that and say, okay, my advice to you guys is ask your patients for that help. Every single time a patient leaves my new patient consult, you better believe I've got this little script that I say about when I give them our social media card. And then I ask them, like, are you on this stuff? And they're like, yeah, I'm TikTok famous. And I'm like, oh, so bad. That makes two of us. Great. But then I say, okay, how do we edit this? How can you help us? So on days off, when kids are off from school, I just had a patient the other day. I'm like, you can be like the Ask Claire ambassador on the day that you don't have school, Columbus Day. Can you come in and just TikTok? You want to learn about these appliances? You want to be an orthodontist when you grow up? Perfect. You can shadow us and help us. So just collaborating with your patients. I think if you and your doc and your team have no clue about social media, because we once didn't have no clue. We all just knew Facebook and that was it. And then Instagram comes up with the reels and things like that. We learn from our patients. So I would say reach out to those that do know it and collaborate with them. And if you have to create like an influencer contract, we've done that in the past. Try to do something like that as well.
Oh my gosh, Janelle, such great information. I just know people are eating this up. You said one thing, and I told you I was going to stop with my questions, but you said one thing about your social media card. What is that?
So we have a card that is all over the office. It's literally a business card and it says, let's get social. And on the back, it shows little icons of all the social media icons and then our handles. And every new patient gets that. When they leave the office, I handwrite them a thank you card. It goes in there. When they start with our office, we send them, I hope our new patients aren't listening, but we send them a Yeti before they even get their appliance placed, and the business card goes in there. So not everyone follows us, but you better believe as soon as they're in the chair and they're snapping with their friends, I weasel up while they're getting an adjustment. I'm like, you're on Snapchat, you better be tagging us. So I'm like the office cheerleader when it comes to that. So I encourage all these team members listening, encourage your patients to follow you and tag you.
Yes. And it's so simple. And gosh, that was worth listening to the very end of this podcast, just for that little, I feel like I need like, what is it? Ed Milat, where you have the slap the thing and the bomb thing goes off. Like, wow.
Ready.
Yeah, exactly. I need confetti. I need something. That was great. Oh gosh, just great information. And I'm sure we just got 10 offices, implementing something crazy like that. So Janelle, tell me, if somebody wants to find out a little bit more about what you're doing, if they just are like, I'm a baby TC and and I just want to ask some questions, or I'm going to get started in this. And I know you love to help people. How would they get a hold of you? Or if they want to follow you, just to kind of get a feel for from the office to personally, how can they find out more about you?
You're asking this. So they can follow Ask Orthodontics first and foremost on all social media accounts. It's spelled ASDKLER Orthodontics. Just Google us, you'll find us. My personal page on Facebook is Janelle Baum, JANELLEBAUM. And then my Instagram and TikTok is Noodlebomb on Instagram. And then TikTok is Noodlebomb1226. And I'm sure you're going to share that at the end of this, but for listening in the podcast, hopefully she'll put it in to the bio. And then my email, they can reach me anytime at Janelle, JANELLE _BAUM at Ask Claire Ortho.
Wonderful. Well, Janelle, again, such wonderful information. And I am wondering, are you ready now to do the speed round?
It's the only reason I came on this episode.
All right. So I am not going to ask Star Trek or Star Wars because we know you don't watch either one of them. So Describe your style in one word.
You know what? I'm going to capitalize off of my my nickname, Noodle. I'm going to say the style is noodle-ish. People often will say when I'm like being my funny mannerisms and stuff, when they feed off of that, they're like, oh, I feel noodle-ish. Or if someone is in the audience or wherever we are and my husband will be like, oh, look at that outfit. It's very noodle-ish. So I would say my style is noodle-ish.
I love it. All right. So that's going to be my new word when I'm feeling, I'm be like, or when I see something that's noodle-ish. That's good. That's
Send
good.
me a pic so I know where to buy it then.
Okay. All right. All right. What are you listening to or watching right now?
Actually, well, I'm always listening to the Jill Allen podcast.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. You guys are too. I don't right now. Life is busy. I don't have time to settle home. My kids are in 20 different directions. Yep. So I am reading this book. It's right here, Marilyn Manson.
Oh yeah. Great. Oh, well, I'm like, well, hey, nothing the matter with that.
Things I'm known for is to create social awkward experiments. And you just fell for it. So I love it. You were great. You're like, okay, great. No, actually, this just came in the mail today. It's a book called Play by Stuart Brown. And I'm really excited to start. Like I said, I just got it today, but I'm just constantly looking for motivation and ideas on how to continue to play with my crazy imagination and find different platforms. And this is a way of getting me out of my everyday type A personality and just continue to find ways to be noodle-ish.
Great. Well, I love that. And I am constantly, I use notes. I'm a big Mac user and I use notes all the time. And I've got this whole notepad on books to read or listen to. And so that will go, that will
like quit your job for a week and just read books all day and then be like, okay. I'm back at it.
My head would be so big. It'd be great, with all this knowledge. All right. So, what's something that you do just for you?
Just for me, I would say I love being surrounded by friends. I have FOMO. We all know what FOMO is, fear of missing out. So I'm constantly got to be where all the friends are and family, of course. I've got a great fun group and funny family. So I would say that. I would say if you ask my kids this, it would be mom loves drinking coffee and working out. It's the way I start my day. Like I said, sometimes I go to bed early just to wake up and have that coffee early. As soon as I'm caffeinated, all my mind is in 20 directions. I got to get that out and my outlet is working out and then I'm ready to start the day. So
Awesome. All right. And hidden talent. I mean, we know about the one. So is there a hidden one anywhere?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if for some of the viewers listening or watching, I actually went to clown college as well. I not auditioned, but I tried to go to clown college and Niagara University called and said, you know what, Janelle, you're the only one that applied to the class. So we're going to have to cancel it, but the clowns are willing to homeschool you. So I had to drive all the way out 45 minutes to Niagara Falls. And I was taught the art of clowning. I did birthday parties and things like that, but then that ended fast because I realized I was the one babysitting all my friends' kids while they were out having fun, getting drunk, and I was juggling and entertaining the toddlers. So my hidden talent, I then turned it into a small little business and would surprise people at stuffy corporate offices, restaurants, even traffic jams with a personalized singing telegram. And it was kind of like MTV's Punked because I would come in unannounced with a really loud horn saying, I'm looking for the birthday guy or girl. And I had no idea what they look like. And my only advertisement for this was MySpace. That's what we didn't have.
Oh my gosh.
Social media. And I was doing it for free and I didn't know what to charge people. And it was just crazy. And it evolved and I did it for, I think 4 or 5 years. Wow. And I still randomly will surprise people. I have a best friend who is a teacher and I'm hoping she's not listening to this, but I'm going to surprise her at her birthday in while she's teaching a third grade class.
Oh, I love that. What a great hidden talent. I don't think many of us, though I do have a doc that also is a clown as his hidden talent. I know I may have to. I know it. I know Dr. Keith Alexander. So Keith, if you're listening,
I'm right.
You and Janelle gotta meet up. All right. So thank you so much for being a part of Hey Docs and being on this podcast. You just dropped a ton of great information. And I know that there are some TCs out there that just got a lot of good information, docs out there that are like, oh, this was great. And again, Janelle, thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to edutain my audience.
You're so welcome. And I know last episode you did ask like, what's my goal? So obviously you can't ask that, but I do have 2 goals. So the first one is to be on Saturday Night Live. We know that. But as a professional goal, because that's my personal goal, is to do a funny skit with these awesome doctors and consultants. And I think that's the best way to educate the audience. So of course you guys might know me as that girl who always sneaks up on stage at some conference and dance. I want to go beyond that. I want to now be involved in some sort of fun little skit. I see some of these doctors are doing carpool karaoke. I do not want to be on that skit. I maybe just be in the background, be funny. I'm tone deaf, so I can't sing, but I like where they're going and the direction that they're going.
Yes.
That might be the newest trend, and I want to be a part of that. So if you know anyone that's looking for someone, I'll fly and drive anywhere I need to be part of it.
Okay. All right. And I'll just throw it out there. I'm always game for a good skit too. So let's do it. Just don't make me memorize anything. If we can just go on the fly, I'm good.
Be yourself, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, again, thank you so much. And until next time.
Oh, goodbye, everyone.
See you.